receives a report that the search group has located Sarah and is preparing an ambush. The president begins to worry that the scouts might also find her son, but by that time, Allison manages to convince Yorick to leave, and the pair escape into the forest. Tension rises. The trackers try to catch up with Yorick and Allison, but Sarah neutralizes the soldiers and destroys their radios, cutting off the signal to the White House. That night, Nora wakes up to the sound of screams. Trying not to make any noise, she peeks out of the room and sees a crowd of Amazons punishing a girl for speaking to Sam. The smiling beauties turn out to be ruthless, but Nora decides not to intervene. She wants her daughter to stay safe, and for that, she is willing to play by their rules. Sarah finds a van, and the group continues their journey to San Francisco, despite Yorick and Allison's attempt to escape. Naturally, this causes even more tension among them. Sarah no longer trusts her companions, which leads to another disaster. She falls asleep at the wheel, and the vehicle crashes off the road. After climbing out of the wreck, Allison tries to find Sarah, but she's no longer in the driver's seat. Instead, a convoy of military vehicles soon appears nearby, and they have nothing to do with the White House. Jennifer is informed about the incident, as well as the fact that among the fugitives was a man. While the president struggles to deflect suspicions away from her son, Yorick regains consciousness in an unfamiliar house, in bed with an equally unfamiliar woman. Getting out of bed, he goes in search of his capuchin, but instead encounters the people who brought him to this place. The residents of the ranch where Yorick has been taken seem peaceful enough. However, they refuse to tell him where his companions are. Meanwhile, the girls wake up in a jail cell, completely unaware of where they are or how to escape. Jennifer addresses the surviving citizens of the city, asking them to agree to evacuation and not to incite chaos. In the crowd, the president spots a familiar face, Beth, her son's girlfriend, who all this time had been in a hospital. While Jennifer talks to Beth, Kimberly continues to secretly persuade Regina to overthrow the usurper and take her place. Despite the friendly atmosphere, Yorick isn't set free. On the contrary, he is thrown into a cell with the girls so the community can decide what to do with the prisoners. Meanwhile, more grim news arrives. A new strain of flu has been discovered in Greece. Jennifer immediately dives into addressing this new crisis, but is also faced with another. Marla shows up at the command center, demanding to know if the rumors about Yorick are true. The waiting inside the cell becomes unbearable, and tensions flare up again. Yorick and Sarah end up fighting, but the argument quickly ends when the heavy door creaks open and a woman from the settlement appears. She informs the prisoners that a decision has been made. They will be allowed to stay until Sarah recovers. After that, they'll be escorted out of the city so they can continue their journey to San Francisco. The ranch residents provide Sam with a separate bedroom. Before she drifts off to sleep, she warns Yorick to stay alert and trust no one. But Yorick is convinced that Sam is exaggerating the danger. The ranch seems lively, and everyone appears peaceful and kind. Moreover, they have plenty of food, electricity, and water, luxuries that are rare in most regions now. Meanwhile, Marla's grief becomes unbearable. She climbs to the roof and takes a step into the void, hoping to reunite with her husband and sons. She leaves a note for her daughter, apologizing and urging her to be strong. At the same time, Beth returns to the city, but instead of going back to her friends, as she had told Jennifer, she heads straight for a rebel truck, joining a group planning an assault on the White House. Back in Roxanne's commune, Kate, one of the Amazons, tries to leave the group, but Roxanne reminds her of the harsh rules, shooting the fleeing girl in the back. However, Roxanne doesn't confess this to the others. She frames the incident as an attack by nomads. To prevent further desertions, Roxanne orders everyone into intensive firearms training. Moreover, Roxanne plans to kick out the guests. Nora learns of this from one of the members and rushes to the leader, begging her to allow her and Mackenzie to stay. No amount of pleading works on Roxanne. She gives Nora a few more days, after which the woman and her daughter must leave the commune. Roxanne remembers how she first found this place and built the Amazon community. From day one, she had been its sole leader. Nothing had changed since then. Roxanne continues to dictate the rules and convinces the residents that beyond her protection lies only danger and death. Every day, she holds meetings where the women are required to recall the worst deeds of men and reinforce the idea that Roxanne is their only source of safety. Sam is banned from these gatherings and begins preparing to leave, planning to occupy the guest houses by the lake and start his own community. But Hero has already started falling under Roxanne's influence. She's no longer sure she wants to leave. Roxanne witnesses an emotional argument between Hero and Sam. Seizing the opportunity, she manipulates Hero again, convincing her that even a not real man shouldn't speak to her like that. In the end, the friends part ways, and that night Roxanne drives Sam out, allowing him to take a little food with him. The next morning, Roxanne doesn't tell Hero that she was the one who let Sam go. Instead, she does everything to comfort the girl, even organizing a farewell celebration in honor of saying goodbye to all things male. The festival ends with a noisy and cheerful party enjoyed by everyone except Nora. Nora never manages to fit in with the group, and to get her revenge, she sets fire to the shopping mall while everyone sleeps. The Amazons manage to survive, but their supplies are destroyed. Nora hides her satisfaction behind a mask of sorrow, blending into the grieving crowd. Pleased with her actions, Nora prepares for a night escape. She heads into the forest to check her supplies, but instead finds a police car by the river, filled with bodies. It becomes obvious that Roxanne is not who she claims to be, and Nora decides to use this information to her advantage. Choosing a moment when they are alone, Nora confronts Roxanne about her discovery. She promises to stay silent. In exchange for privileges, she and her daughter must always have access to the best food, protection, and shelter. But Nora offers more than just silence. She promises to help Roxanne retain control over the group even after the loss of their supplies, ensuring that people won't abandon her. Roxanne accepts Nora's terms. She gathers her followers and delivers a loud, fiery speech, promising that they will overcome all hardships and conquer the world. Meanwhile, Sarah slowly recovers and even resumes her training, although she continues to suffer from hallucinations and visions. Despite this, she keeps a close eye on Yorick, who seems to have once again let his guard down and placed too much trust in the villagers. Sarah's suspicions grow when one of the villagers approaches her, asking suspicious questions about a device found in the wrecked vehicle. The girl refuses to reveal what it is, but she clearly doesn't want Yorick to find out about the beacon. On Roxanne's orders, Hero finds another settlement, a group of women who have created a memorial to honor the memory of men. Hiding behind the guise of protecting women's rights, Roxanne organizes a raid to steal food and supplies from the settlement. The Amazons unleash hell on the inhabitants of the memory town, but Nora quickly realizes something is wrong. Instead of simply taking food and water, the savages are destroying everything in a frenzy. Nora doesn't like what she sees and tries to reason with Roxanne, but the deranged leader insists that this is the right path. Fully recovered from her illness, Regina Oliver prepares to overthrow Jennifer Brown. She instructs her allies to be ready for a coup within 30 minutes. Seeking additional support, Regina turns to Kimberly. But after her mother's death, Kimberly has lost her fire and no longer wants to be involved in the rebellion. At the same time, under the government building, Beth's team plants explosives. Jennifer Brown is summoned to the command center, where she is accused of hiding information about Yorick. To protect her pregnant aide, Jennifer is forced to confess, admitting that her son survived. She also reveals that he was sent to a geneticist in the hope of saving humanity, although no one knows if he has reached his destination. Even those who had supported Jennifer the day before now side with Regina. They demand that the liar step down and hand over power to the true president. But the discussion is interrupted. An explosion rocks the building, and it becomes clear that intruders have broken in. The rebels, led by Beth, storm the building. Making their way through the underground tunnels, they clash with the politicians, and the president's security service is forced to lay down their arms and surrender. Jennifer recognizes Beth despite her balaclava, but the girl manages to signal her to stay silent and not expose her. Regina's desire to be president vanishes the moment danger appears. Thus, Jennifer Brown has to take responsibility and negotiate with the rebels, responding to their demands. The rebels move the hostages out of the control center, hoping to leave the building with them without encountering the feral townspeople. At that moment, Regina begins to assert that she is the rightful president and everyone must obey her. In a fit of rage, she accuses everyone of betrayal, attempts to expose her former allies, including Kimberly, and, as the final blow, announces that Jennifer Brown's son is alive. One of the rebels silences the hysterical woman with a bullet to the forehead, but the damage is already done. Her words have been spoken, and most importantly, the rebels' plans are now thrown into chaos. Meanwhile, Yorick's prolonged stay at the settlement leads to trouble. The women, starved for male attention, begin hunting him, hoping to spend time with the last surviving man. Taking advantage of the moment when Yorick is distracted and Allison is socializing with the locals, Sarah sneaks into the forest to destroy the beacon that had been transmitting her location all this time. The rebels fail to evacuate the hostages in time. A second rival faction releases tear gas through the ventilation system. Gunfire erupts in the hallways, people scatter in panic, and those who don't escape in time fall dead to the floor. Beth secretly removes Jennifer's handcuffs and tries to lead her away. The president doesn't have time to save her pregnant aide, but Kristen is not left alone. Kimberly stands up for her. Through the underground parking lot, the girls manage to reach an exit. At the memory town, among personal belongings, Roxanne finds a notebook listing the names of all surviving men. Now the leader has a new goal: to hunt down and destroy them all, to free the planet. The Amazons decide to start with the young man they had already seen once, the one now living in the nearby village. Nora shows Roxanne his portrait. It's none other than Yorick Brown. Beth gives Jennifer her uniform. Before they part ways, Jennifer tells the girl that Regina's words were true. Yorick is alive. Roxanne and Nora set out to find the village where they believe the surviving man is hiding. But sensing danger, Sarah urges her companions to leave quickly. The news of their imminent departure doesn't please Yorick, but he's not ready to argue with the agent. However, it's unlikely they'll disappear in time. Roxanne has already located the estate and is preparing her squad to attack within a few hours. During a meeting, two nomads burst into Roxanne's camp. From them, Hero learns about the president's death. Not knowing that the title of president didn't belong to her mother, Hero assumes it was her who died. In reality, Jennifer is still alive. Having mourned her daughter, she prepares to flee with Beth. The president can no longer stay in the city, where a hunt has already begun for her. That night, Sam sneaks into Jennifer's house. The woman immediately recognizes her daughter's friend, and together they attempt to escape, but the house is surrounded. Kristen and Kimberly find refuge in an abandoned barn. Waking up early in the morning, Kimberly tells her friend that she knows how they can all be saved. They need Yorick to continue the human race, and Yorick, it seems, agrees. That night, he sleeps with one of the village women who had long set her sights on him. Their idyll is shattered when the Amazons, led by the crazed Roxanne, storm the village streets, demanding that the man be handed over. Sarah jolts awake at the sound of gunfire. She orders Yorick's new girlfriend to get him out of the house while she stays behind to repel the attack. Realizing they are heavily outnumbered, Sarah steps outside with her hands raised, pretending to be frightened of the intruders. She brings out the local trans man, passing him off as the real survivor. A serious firefight breaks out on the main street. The sounds of gunfire distract Sarah's convoy, and she uses the moment to disarm her enemies and escape. Even little Mackenzie joins the fight, trying to prove to Roxanne that she deserves her place in the commune. Meanwhile, Hero catches up with the group of escapees. She fires at them until Yorick turns around. Recognizing her brother, Hero freezes, but Yorick's girlfriend, unaware of the family connection, shoots Hero. Wounded, Hero manages to tell her brother about their mother's death and warns him that the Amazons intend to destroy him. She urges Yorick to flee and, to buy him time, eliminates one of her own sisters in arms. The firefight in the city rages on. But unexpectedly, Nora raises her hands and steps into the center, declaring their surrender. This sends Roxanne into a frenzy, but no one cares anymore. Hero tells Nora that Yorick is alive. This gives the women new strength, and upon returning to their camp, Nora decides to depose Roxanne and open the girl's eyes to the truth. But words alone don't work. Roxanne continues to provoke Nora until Nora shoots her in the chest. The Amazons, stunned, raise their weapons, but Nora quickly finds comforting words for them. Hero steps forward to stand at Nora's side, and from that moment on, the community has a new leader. Sarah walks several kilometers and finally finds Yorick and Allison. The boy is devastated. He feels like he has lost everyone he loved and no longer has a reason to live. Listening to her friend, Sarah confides that she understands him better than he thinks. She lost her parents in childhood too. Sarah then tells Yorick that if he wants, he can walk away. She had been following Jennifer's orders, and now that Jennifer is presumed dead, their agreement is technically void. But Yorick refuses. He asks Sarah to become his trainer so he can stop being a burden and learn to protect himself. Meanwhile, Jennifer, Beth, and Sam find themselves locked in an empty room under surveillance cameras. They don't know it yet, but they have been captured by Sarah's former superior from the Secret Service. Following the signal from the beacon, Sarah leads her friends to a fueled vehicle. Besides gasoline, the car contains everything needed for scientific research and a map with a marked route. Where does it lead? For now, that will remain a mystery.